So please welcome Presley Gonor to the show. Welcome, Presley.
Hi, Mom.
We were talking about this yesterday because a year ago today we recorded an episode with you and your sister
Mhm.
on the day before school starts, the last day of summer.
And tomorrow we start school.
Yes, you do. And it's one of those things where I thought, wouldn't it be fun to come on a year later and see what we've learned, what we've grown, how we've grown, what we've done, the highlights maybe of your year, what you're looking forward to going into high school, starting ninth grade, going into a new school, all the things, friendships, um, you know, crew team, trying to figure out homework, grades, a whole new life.
Yeah.
So tell me, Presley, what was like, tell me the highlight of your, you had eighth grade year. What are things that stick out in your mind that were highlights? Let's start there.
In eighth grade or just the past year?
The past year. That was, yeah.
So first winning America's Ideal Miss California. That was really fun because it was just out of the blue that we went there. We like figured out a week before that we were gonna go and before we were gonna volunteer, and like a few weeks before I was like, Mom, what if I just do it? Just see. And so we went and I won, and that was super fun. And then we went to Italy, which was super exciting. And we got to walk a lot and see a bunch of things. And I think that that was really good, especially because that will be like for my future. And and then we went to nationals in Georgia, which was so much fun. I want to go back next year. And what I really loved about it was just all the girls and how like no one was really like mean. I think that that's like what a lot of girls are, like super competitive, but I think that the girls there were just super nice and we all had a connection, which was really fun. And and then we had a little situation at the airport, which was we got there and the line in security was so long because we needed to go to the airport to go to Arizona to see Paige's pageant that she was giving of her crown. And we were with Jean and we were waiting in that security line for so long. So we got our flights changed twice because we had a layover, and that was a good experience, I think.
Why?
I think that it's just because you never know what's going to happen. And so it's good to learn what to do in that situation in the future. And Arizona was fun. We got to watch Paige and all our friends in Arizona. And then we drove home. We got Dutch Bros for the first time, which is really good. And yeah, those are the things that stick out to me.
So when you say, let's go back. So you won Miss California, Ideal Miss, America's Ideal Miss, Miss California. What in that, what do you think, where did you grow in that? What were some light bulbs that went off during that weekend?
Yeah, I think that especially just because we did it from nowhere. I just decided to do it a week before. I think that that is something that is really good to learn from because you never know what could happen. Like we didn't even expect anything. And so just going there to go see my friends and just do the pageant to practice, I think that it was really cool being able to just try out a new system too. I think that's good for me because I'm not used to that, the different type of pageant. And so that was really fun, and being able to win was so fun because I think that we like know all of our sister queens before. And so that was really fun, especially at nationals.
Right. So when you go back to eighth grade and
Yeah.
you were at Horizon Prep and you'd been there since you were 5 years old. So you went from 5 years old to 14 at the same school.
Yeah.
What, so lessons in that, like when you reflect back in your school years, you have 4 years left of high school and then college, if that's what you choose to do. What can you look back and think, gosh, I'm so glad, or, this was hard, or what are things that go through your mind? Because I think, instead of just, I think kids just go, and parents too go from, back summer, back to school, do we school year. We don't really reflect on what we had, what were the takeaways from your experience. I think when I look back at how you've grown, and I can still picture you in pre-K, and your personality and what your personality is now, and watching you explore friendships and all the things you did, grades and schoolwork. What Tell me what your takeaways were.
So for grades, I think in that aspect, I think that I really grew, especially in 8th grade. The first semester was really good for me. I had all A's for the first semester, which was something that I don't normally do. And so that was a huge accomplishment. And I got an honor roll for that semester, which was really good. And I was really proud of myself for that, because I realized that it's not, going to school is not all about friends. I think that I really realized how to study and how to really have, what's the word? Time management. Is that what it is?
Time management.
I think that I really grown in that aspect. And with friends, I think that I realized that it's not about how many friends you have and if you're friends with everyone, but it's just really about, like, even if you have one friend, I think that that's really important, because that one friend could be really funny and you really enjoy your time with them. And then instead of being with everyone, someone could really bother you or be mean to you. And so I think that just having one friend means a lot to me. And so I think that I really learned that.
So let's go back to that, because when I was your age, and people that are listening grew up, in the 70s and 80s like me, going to high school and middle school, it wasn't, there wasn't the bullies, there wasn't the mean girls. We were all, why do you think that? What do you think causes that? What's the difference there? Because I don't remember those feelings like
Mhm.
you do.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the girls are really insecure. I think that that's like a really big difference. And also social media plays a big part in that. I think that a lot of girls will like post their pictures, and girls will either comment bad things on it or good things on it. I think that that's something that someone may like identify as whatever people comment on that. And I think that that's a part that really makes them insecure. And so I think that that's something that a lot of girls struggle with.
And do you think, what can you do, like, to give advice to somebody now going into middle school, I guess, would be a question for that. What would you give a little girl going into 6th grade, middle school, or 7th grade, whatever year they start? But what would be your advice?
I would say, like, if you're scared about what friends you're gonna have, like, don't be. Everything is always perfect. And so God will have whatever friends you're meant to have, they'll all come to you. And to really just focus on your grades and really focus on that, because now that Paige is going into college, we realize that grades play a big part in that, especially in high school, but also in middle school. I think that just focusing on your work and not getting behind is really important, and not just focusing on if you're popular or not all the time.
Right. What advice would you give your pre-K little 5-year-old self?
Yeah, I think I would just say to have fun and not really worry about the bad things that people are saying about you. I think that you probably notice that like 4th grade to like 6th grade and maybe 8th grade, I think that a lot of the girls were mean to me, you know? And so I would just say to not give them any attention, because I feel like in the beginning I kind of did. And so I would just tell my little self to just have fun, be yourself, don't really worry about anyone who's doing bad things to you. I would just say to focus on school, have fun. I think we had a lot of fun when we were little with you and Paige, like going to Disneyland and stuff. That's definitely like good memories that I have. And so just focusing on things like that is really important.
Right. Always focus on the good, right? Whatever
Yes.
you focus on grows. So if you focus on the good, you'll get more good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to ninth grade and what you're doing tomorrow, going to school. I am going to reflect back probably when you were 5, like we were just talking about. In that moment, I remember thinking one day my girls are going to be going to high school for 1 year together only. And Paige will have her driver's license and I won't have to drive them to school. And now I'm living in that moment and I will be doing that tomorrow. So when you think of going into ninth grade, what is your first thoughts of that, getting up and walking into school tomorrow? What are you thinking?
Mm, I mean, just thinking about like my friends and how I'm gonna have fun and just new school, new teachers and new experience because at Horizon there it was so small. And so just having the experience of having a ton of people around you at school, not just 5 or not just having like 5 friends, but having like like 30 friends. I think that that will be something that will be really important to me to have. And definitely a new experience because Horizon's way different.
Right. So let's talk about friends, and you're going in on a clean slate. There's a few girls that you know from Horizon, but so when you're in ninth grade and we've watched Paige navigate her way through and finding friends and aligning in values. And so tell me, what do you look for in a friend? What's important to you, and understanding what your values are and what you've learned from mom and from me and dad
Yeah, I
and
think,
Paige.
yeah, a lot of girls my age are just worried about like what everyone else is doing, like whether it's drinking or vaping or whatever. But something I look for in a friend is someone who doesn't do that and it really focuses on their values, like you said. And that focusing on I always focus on my values, and so I don't do that. And so finding a friend who thinks the same, who really focuses on the same things as me is really important. And I would want my friends to be funny, to be nice. And at the orientation, they were talking about how a lot of freshmen last year would make fun of these kids with Down syndrome, which was super sad to hear. And so I would during when I heard that, I knew immediately that that is something that I would never want someone to do. And if I heard that someone was doing that, then I would not be very happy. But if finding a friend would definitely be someone who is sweet, who is funny and has their values and has a plan for the future.
Right. And so now you've been on the crew team for a year. You did your novice year in 8th grade. Going, um, going into this year, you'll be on the varsity team. Balancing crew and schoolwork and sleep and family and friends and all that. Give me that. What's your take on that?
Like my tips for that.
No, just like, how are you going to handle it? How are you going to handle, you're going to be in high school now with, you know, a full load, very probably higher pressure with academics than you have been used to. But then you're going to be going to crew practice every day for 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And what does that look like for you? How are you going to handle that? How do you see yourself balancing that?
I think that at school, I want to take a class, which is academic center, where I can have time during school to do my homework, which is like probably like an hour or more to do your homework and to really focus on that. I think that that will really help me. Plus, on a normal day, if I didn't have that, I would go to school, we'd get in the car, go to crew, and then when we come home, I'd eat dinner, and then I'd give mom my phone and I'd just do my homework because I know that sometimes my phone really distracts me. And so by balancing that this year, I want to just sometimes I need to put my phone away and just really focus on the work because last year sometimes I would get caught up on my phone and I think that I really struggled with that. And so this year I know that I need to really focus on my grades, especially for college in a few years. I know that that's really important. And so having that now, I think that knowing that now is really important.
Right. When you think of grades and um, getting, on the varsity boat one day, and, pressures, and the kids these days, I feel like even just the kids I work with, there's so much pressure,
Yeah.
like in high school, we didn't have the pressure that you have. Um, how do you, like, what do you do? What have I really taught you mindset wise to really center yourself so you can, accept the pressure and push past the anxiety of trying to get everything done and being at peace with that?
Mhm. You taught us how to say positive affirmations, how to do our vision boards, gratitude journals, but I think that the morning routine really helps with that because you say that as soon as you wake up, you put a smile on your face, you say that today's going to be a good day. And I think that that's just telling your mind that there is not really going to be any pressure. There's not going to be any anxiety. I think that that is something that you definitely need to do in order to just have a little bit extra pressure off your back. So yeah.
Right. But, when we get into a place when you're studying for finals or studying for a test, and staying up late now, and how do you, when you think of, I look back at my high school, it wasn't, like I said, there wasn't a lot of pressure. And I don't really even remember even your grandma and grandparents like asking me for if I did my homework, let alone getting into college and all that. But we did, and we figured it out. But when I look at how I was when I got to college, it was I learned how to study. I learned what it took to study, and then there is a process of that. There's a process of um, when you start to ninth grade, like it's now you're starting to prepare yourself for college,
Yeah.
right? So what is that when you think of, I look at you and Paige and think you get home at 7:30 and you have to stay, and you're going to have to stay up and study, right? But I feel like you're preparing really like more than most kids that don't have the crew practice until 7:30, that are just home and right after school and have all that time to study. Tell me how will you manage your time in that?
For studying, I think that, like how I said before, I think that taking that class at school will be really, really important just to have that extra time to be able to study. And so I can get to sleep a little bit earlier than normal. I think that that will be just really, really important. And just being able, I think that as I get older, I'm really able to focus more on doing my homework and not getting distracted as much. And so when I get home, I think I'm just going to go straight to my homework and do it as fast as I can so I can actually go to sleep, because obviously I'll be really tired from waking up early to go to school, and then being already tired from that and then going straight to crew will be a lot. And so just trying to get my homework done and getting
What
to
do you
sleep.
like about crew?
Oh, that's hard. I think that a lot a lot of things are good. Like I really like the friends there. I've met a lot of good friends on my team, and so I'll be able to have those friends throughout the next few years of high school. And I also like, I think we were talking about this yesterday, how Paige in the beginning, when she started rowing, she said that she just loved being on the water because she just doesn't think about anything in life and just it's relaxing. And I think that that's also the same for me. When I get on the water, I just sit there and I focus on whether it's my form while I'm rowing or just thinking about what I have to do. I think that I think rowing is a good thing to have because you're just out there trying to focus on your form and how hard you're pushing. But also when we're just doing steady state, I think that it's really relaxing because I get to think about my day and I get to reflect. And I really like that about it.
Oh, good. And so let's go to just out of the blue. I want to know the movies you watched this summer because we went to a few movies. What were your favorite movies?
So I liked Barbie. I saw it 3 times. The first time we saw it at nationals. We saw it with our friends. And then the day after in rehearsal, I didn't know I was going to see it in rehearsal. We were standing there, we were taking the picture. We were supposed to have a 3-hour rehearsal. And the director goes, "Surprise, we're going to watch Barbie." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to watch it again." So I watched it again. At the beginning, I kind of thought it was bad. And then we saw it again for the 3rd time a few days ago with Paige because she hasn't seen it. And I kind of liked it then. I think that the end was really good. And
Why? Tell me your takeaway from that movie, because I saw it now twice too.
yeah,
And I don't know why I need to understand what your takeaway was from that, what the message is.
I liked how in the end she realized that she doesn't have to be perfect all the time, and just realizing that in Barbie land or whatever, everything was perfect and she didn't like that. And so she wanted to go to the real world and be a real person. And so after she was like doing her little talk with the girl who made Barbie, I think that like really touched everyone. And I think that is something that was really important to hear, because we need to realize that it's not always about being perfect all the time, especially as someone who does pageants. That's what someone really thinks of a pageant girl, is that they're perfect all the time, which that's why it really touched me, because I really relate to her and not being perfect all the time at pageants. I think that it's really important to just be real sometimes. And so I definitely realized why she wanted to feel real and be in the real world.
Right. And what about The Sound of Freedom?
Yes, that was a good movie. That was a good movie. It was scary, but it was good. Yeah, we didn't leave our seats and we had to pee so bad at the end. Me and mom like sprinted to the bathroom at the end of it.
But so let's go to um like the whole sex trafficking thing that's going on in your age group, because it's really what is, I mean, your age group is probably the mainstream of what is being trafficked. What is life like being a 14, since we were aware of it the last couple years, more in tune to it. Um, as a parent, when you've gotten to teenage years, I've allowed you to go to the bathroom by yourself. You've had more freedom to, go to the mall and not be with me. And then all this comes to the surface and it causes fear, right? So there's fear there. So we sit in this movie, and it was very important for me as a mom for us all to go before we went to Georgia for nationals, and Paige left for Arizona, Paige and Dad. What When you're sitting there, I don't think you knew what it was about. Let's go through that. I want you to explain, like, you were sitting there going, "Mom, what is this? What's going on? Why?"
Oh, in the beginning, because I didn't know what the movie was supposed to be about. You didn't tell us. You're like, "Oh, we're just gonna see this movie," and I was like,
I
"Okay."
said it was sex trafficking and you thought I was
No,
joking.
I know, and because you always joke with me, so I thought you were joking. But in the beginning, I kind of didn't know what was going on, because it was like they were at like the modeling thing, and then they like got kidnapped, and I was like, "What's going on?" But I think that movie was really good for everyone to see, because I think that a lot of people will be more aware of either their kids or themselves. So yeah.
Yeah, we kept us on the edge of our seat.
Yeah.
So when you look at yourself, that we're ending this and then Paige is going to come on, but when you look at yourself in 4 years from now, when you're heading out to college, what do you want to look back at and know that you accomplished? What kind of story would you want to be saying about yourself that your high school years were like?
I just want it to be fun. I just want to have friends that we go do fun things, and I have good grades, and I just want to go to all the football games. And so in my first year with Paige and really figuring out what high school is. And I think that after Paige leaves, it will be sad, but I'll get the chance to be on my own and find my own way. And yeah, I think that I just want it to be really fun with my friends.
What about boys? What does that look like? How do you handle that? How do you think you'll handle that?
I don't know. um, I don't know. I mean, I saw most of the boys at orientation, and not a lot of them are cute, but yeah, I mean, I'll be friends with them, but whatever. If I really like one of them, then I'll like them, but
What
yeah.
does liking them look like?
You ask this to every single you ask this to every single person that we meet.
Well, answer it.
I don't know. I don't know. You just like them. You think they're cute and they are funny and nice.
Okay. Does it mean kissing?
Why I'm not gonna answer that.
Okay. Any last words of wisdom from Presley? Let's see, 9.0, because she's going into ninth grade.
I would just say live life, live life.
Live life.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing
I think
advice.
that you cannot take life so seriously. Sometimes you just need to have fun and not be so worried because God always has a plan for you. So sometimes you just need to stop worrying and see what God has for you because you might be missing it if you're too worried.
Right. Missing your magic moments. All
Yep.
right, my dear. Thank you for sharing your magic and letting me uncover it.
Uncover Your Magic podcast, guys. Subscribe.
Okay, let's get Paige. Okay.
Good.
Okay. Bye. Thank you. So please welcome Paige Gonor to the show. Welcome, Paige.
Hi, Mom.
Hi. So here we are a year later after we did our last episode last year, heading on into our senior year of high school. I can't even believe I'm saying that. And I wanted to get like your feedback and your like where your feelings are like from the summer, from junior year to now, how you feel, like how your high school was, going into freshman year with COVID and how that affected you, and all that kind of. I want to kind of start with your high school experience and then we'll move forward. But can you go into kind of how going in as a freshman with COVID and how that kind of, it's so different than Presley going in as a freshman. So you had such a different experience. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so going into freshman year, I obviously it was COVID, so I was in cohorts. So the first half of the year I was all online, and then the second half I did like half of the week in person and then the other half online. And that was if you're like me, I had like no just a couple friends going into the year into cathedral, but it was just easy for me to get like that start, just like a slow start into like meeting people on Zoom and like online in the classes, and then like getting to like actually meet them in person. But then for my sister, she just has to go like straight into the whole high school experience, and I think that will probably be hard, but also really good for her to experience what it's actually like. And when I went to high school, I literally I had no one, so and Presley, she has me there already. So it's probably like a good little crutch, but like you and me have been telling her like she needs to like branch out and find friends. Like she can come talk to me if she wants, but she obviously needs to find her own group and do like the same thing that I did and go through that whole experience of finding like your own friends and finding your own group, and you're finding your own groove freshman year.
Yeah. How did you find your friends? What was that process like?
Well, I was in luck because freshman year I did rowing at Cathedral. My mom's friend told my mom to sign me up for rowing because there was this girl that my mom's friend knew that was gonna be signing up, so it would just be an easy friend for me to make. And the first I got like a week free for rowing at like a little trial week at Cathedral, and it was the first day was really hard. We had to do this really hard workout on the machine, and I was like so mad that I signed up. I was like, this is torture. I hate this. And I saw like all the girls that were seniors and juniors and just the upperclassmen. I was like, holy cow, I don't look like them. They're 6 feet. Like, I'm not built for this sport. Like, I can't do this. But then I just like, I really liked it. And I found my friends through rowing, which I am grateful for that I had freshman year, because it was a lot easier to find friends that way through a sport versus when you don't have a sport at school. Then it's a little bit harder to find friends, but you can still like a lot of my friends, they don't do sports at school, so it's still like fun for them to find friends in class, but just to like find people do it in your sport that's like also like-minded and like has the same after school activities as you, and is also like has your same schedule. So it's just easier to find a friend that has your same availability and can hang out with you like the same time.
But, I watched you go through Friends, and there was struggles and ups and downs, and people were in and then they were out. Explain, like, if you were going to give yourself advice as you're right now sitting here, and you were going to give your freshman little pagey advice about like sifting and sorting through friends and understanding values and understanding what's important to you and who you attract, what would you say to her?
Well, like just some advice that I'd say to myself was, one, like it doesn't matter what people say or think about you, because still up to this year and for your whole life, you're going to be having people saying stuff about you, either nice or mean, and it's up to you how you're going to take it. And I've had to learn through high school, there is a lot of more mean things that girls are going to say than nice, because a lot of people don't know how to be nice to people at such a young age. So all they're doing is just getting out their anger through talking, gossiping about people, and just like playing on being mean straight to their face. So it's I would say to not take anything what people say to heart, to always stay true to yourself and always be real with who you are, and don't lose yourself in don't lose yourself in like in high school, and lose yourself with finding other people and finding friends before finding yourself, because you need to know who you are, know your values, know your worth, know everything that you stand for before talking and meeting other people and hanging out with them and seeing what they like and what their values are, because you want to stay true to who you are and not change yourself to fit anyone's um fit anyone's wants or needs in a friend.
Right. And, we've gone through high school and you haven't even gone to a party. And I always relate that to, your values. You wouldn't feel aligned with the people that were at the party. No judgment toward the people that go to the party at all. But what do you say to like when I look at my college or high school career, my 4 years, there were parties, but it wasn't like they are today. And I feel like these kids are like the one your friend was just explaining, where it went from 50 to 200 and wrecked her yard and all that.
Yeah.
Um, it's so, what is the word? Like over the top, I feel like, with the vaping and the drugs and, the scary things that go on with the fentanyl and all the things that say to be careful with, all the things that are out there too. I mean, I was just talking to Presley about the Sound of Freedom movie, like all the things that you guys have to be worried about or protect yourself or be aware, have that awareness. What is that? What do you think why are they drawn to parties like that? What does that aspect of high school life look like?
I think it's just a bunch of people who are scared and people who don't know themselves trying to find their way in life that just go to parties because they're not sure who they are. They're scared of, I don't know, life, and they're just trying to like find their way through it with going to parties, talking to other people, um and people that are probably not the best people to be friends with because me like seeing my like what I do, I'm busy 24/7. I have no time to go to parties, but like this year, like I'll say like, yeah, I want to go to a party because I'm not gonna graduate high school without going to a party. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that I'm so glad that I wasn't sucked into the wrong group because I would say like before this year, and I'm still trying to figure out who I am, but I've really like, grown and really met like really got to know myself as a person. It's really important to spend alone time by yourself, but people that just go to parties are trying to find their way through experimenting with different groups and alcohol and drugs, and it's just not the right way to like find yourself and find um the truth, find your truth and find what really um what your meaning in life is.
Right. Oh, so proud of you. So let's go to getting ready for college, like that whole thing. Now it's like right in our face. We used to talk about it, we used to dream about it, and now we're living in it. What does that process look like? And where do you see, like, if you had to go back and say, okay, Paige, you got to do this. We're getting ready for college. We're in our senior year. What would you go back and do anything different?
Well, freshman year was hard for me because it was online and I'm not the best at learning when it's not like hands-on with the teacher helping me. So freshman year wasn't the best for my grades, and just coming out like sophomore year was basically my freshman year, like still meeting people, and I was still like struggling getting back into the groove of actual things. So I wish that I wish that I could have gotten better grades the first start of my freshman year because once you get a B, then you can never go back to all you can never like once you get a B, you're not going to have a 4.0 again. Like it's just like downhill from that. And I wish I like was more on top of it my freshman and sophomore year because now my junior and senior year, um the end of my sophomore year and my whole junior year, I've been like playing catch up and getting the best grades that I possibly can, and seeing like my cumulative, how do you say that?
Accumulative,
Yeah,
accumulative. Yeah.
yeah. My grades combined through all of like my semesters and whenever I see that on my transcripts, when I show coaches, I'm just like, oh, like I really struggled there. But then it like shows coaches like the growth and like how much I can really be coachable and how much I it really shows them like my growth to success and how much I've changed.
Yeah. Good. And are you excited for college? Is that something that you get like, I can't wait for? What goes through your mind about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to be in California. I want to stay in California with rowing. I'm lucky that I have rowing. So it's just, I want to get, um, recruited in the beginning of my sophomore year. So in a few months. So once I get recruited, it's just, I'll have like, I can relax more, but, going to college, I'm kind of okay with it because I know that I'm gonna have to go anyways. I just can't I don't need to be scared about it. But I feel like I'm prepared in like everything that I've been through in my journey in life and everything that I've learned along the way, like through pageants, through rowing, through just my everyday life and meeting friends and seeing what works for me and what doesn't. I think that like I'm definitely prepared. And like the worst thing that you can do to yourself is just sit in your room and be scared, but like you need to like overcome your fears, and if you are like scared about stuff, like figure out why and then like how you can fix that and be able to understand and help yourself
Yeah.
before that.
What's been your biggest what in your life do you feel like you pushed past the fear and it was amazing? Like what, because I always say like you got to say yes, you've got to push past your fear because on the other side of that door, there's magic. What is the story for yours?
There's multiple that come to mind. I'll just give like a few short ones, but then I'll expand on one of them. One was when I was in fourth grade, I had surgery on my stomach, and it was definitely like um, a huge place where I had to really like sit back and realize like, why is God making me do this? Like, what is like the true meaning behind this, and why do I have to experience this? Like it was so fast that it happened. Me and my whole family, we had no clue that it was going to happen. We had no clue that it was coming, but they had to remove like a non-cancerous mass in my stomach, and we were obviously scared, but then we had to realize that it's all like it's all in God's timing. Everything's perfect and everything's always going to work out, and it does, because I'm now healthy and nothing to worry about now. But that was definitely one of like the big um a big thing in my early childhood. I was in fourth grade when that happened. Another thing was when I started rowing. I already talked about this, but I had to do this really hard workout and go through this whole like week-long trial until I actually figured that I liked it. And every single day now with rowing, I feel like I grow with the sport and I love it each more every single time. Just a few weeks ago at summer practice, um, I had stuff and like drama going on with my friends. I hate drama, but it's gonna happen. Like it's okay. But I had like stuff going on, conflict in my daily life, and I went to rowing at I got there at like 4:50 in the morning because I'd practice at 5. But it was so early, and I was dreading going because of me just wanting to stay at home and just lay in bed. But I was like, you know what, I'll go, because one, it's a fun experience to run, like it's a good experience. I need to row in front of my coach before the actual season starts. But as soon as I got on the water, I totally forgot about everything, and all that I was thinking about is rowing. And then I got off and I was like, I remembered it again as soon as I got back on my phone and back to driving back home and my normal life. And I was like, I totally forgot about all this. It's crazy how something, when you have such a passion and love for it, that everything in the world can just disappear, and that's the only thing that you worry it, and not only thing that you worry about, but only thing that matters. And rowing is like such a gift to me because it feels like it's just a place where I can escape. And also pageants. When I was 8, I um my mom and I went, my mom probably already talked about this multiple times in podcasts, but we went to an open call, and my mom and I and my sister were sitting there watching all the girls, and I was just fascinated by everything, and like seeing the girls, the previous queens, like the Miss Californias, I thought were so cool. And like me and my sister were just, I was just Miss California last year. Still can't believe that that even happened, even though that was like a year or two ago. But I was like seeing like all these like incredible people. I'm like, holy cow, they're Miss California. I want to be that. But I joined the pageant after my mom was like, no, let's just sneak out. Like I knew there's something inside of me that I knew, and I had to overcome that. The first year I didn't place in anything. We had no clue what we were doing. We got our dresses off of eBay or Amazon or something. And it was just like a fun experience and definitely a growth process. And I'm glad that we had that, and I'm glad that we stuck to it even after the first year, because mom was like, we cried all the way home. She goes, we're not doing this again. But we still do it, and we never skipped a year except COVID. So I've done it for more than half of my life, and that was probably one of my favorite blessings, because I wouldn't have been able to like sit here and help mom like film this podcast and talk to people with such fluidity, and also positivity and such a good, strong mindset, and an unbreakable mindset, where I know that when I go to school, I don't have to fall into traps and lose myself in other people in different situations. But Pattis was definitely probably my favorite, because it made me truly shape to the person I am. Growing up in the system called National American Miss, I really used to just think that like Nam and Namely was just a word and a saying, but then actually it's became sort of a lifestyle. And I don't just see it at the pageant. I don't just use it at the pageant, but it's something that I do every single day.
So, staying on that subject, there's such a stigma around pageants and pageant girls. And I'm always the first to say, my girls do pageants, but they're not beauty pageants. They're about speaking and interview and friendships that are beyond amazing. Like those are my closest friends, personally, for me, I'm talking. Why don't you try to get rid of the stigma? How could you, if you were going to tell somebody about a pageant without it being, like it's not toddlers and tiaras and, all the things that people think it is. Because, if I look back at our life, at the memories that we've created, like you just talked about, it could make me cry because those are like the best memories. And to continue that and going into, another season this, November and continuing, it's just the growth that I've seen in both of you is just, like you said, it's, you wouldn't be sitting here talking to me like this. That's the fruit of the labor of the pageant. So explain, like, even the quality of your friendships and, what you've learned so much and what are your biggest grateful things of pageants. Like you just did Miss Teen California, USA California. That was a new experience. What can you elaborate on all the things that you've learned?
Well, starting the pageant when I was 8 years old, I just thought I wanted to become like a princess and wear a pretty dress. But as I said before, like learning what the system that I've done since I was a baby, what it actually means. And I've always now like wanting to, I've like a couple years just actually like realizing and using the life skills that the National American Miss pageant has taught me into my life skills, like in actually my daily life, my, like, what did I call it before, my lifestyle. I like it helped me and changed me and shaped me so much into the person I am. And I've wanted to give back to the system what the system has given back to me, whether becoming a national queen or a state queen or just like being myself. I want girls to know that at pageants, a lot of people just think that it's about girls like going and competing against each other. But at National American Miss, we're backstage, and I am a huge person, and that says, like, I love saying that empowered women empower other women. And I think that National American Miss is where I truly found like that saying, and that is so true. And we're backstage, me and my friends are hyping each other up. We're listening to fun music. Making sure we all look good, fixing each other's hair backstage before we go on. It's nothing like the TV shows or movies or whatever people see that pageants are. It's a truly different experience. And I wish that everyone that has ever said anything mean to me about pageants or has judged me, and I've so many people say, and I've ever since I started high school, where girls, that's when girls have really started saying mean things about pageants. And I just, there's them saying like, oh, like Paige thinks she's better than everyone else because she's Miss California. And that's like, absolutely, I'm probably the most humble person that you'll ever met, even though I obviously was Miss California. I've had all these great awards, but I just definitely something that I wouldn't go bragging around. So I don't know where all these people got this idea in their head of me being thinking I'm better than everyone else, but that's completely false. And I think that if you get to know me and actually get to know who I am before making such a judgment, or any kind of pageant girls, I'm sure they all have the same experience at their high school where people just judge them based on pageants. I think that people really need to know and get to and compete in the pageant and learn what it actually is about before judging. And having this pageant where I've learned how to speak in front of an audience easily. I speak in front of huge audiences since I was 8 years old. Imagine I literally one time, I went on stage at a national pageant and I peed my pants. And I was like mouthing to mom. I was in front of a huge crowd mouthing to mom, I peed my pants. And I didn't think anyone saw me, but mom. But anyway, I stood in front of an audience and I talked in front of judges, and it's crazy to me to think that I can do that. Such a young of an age until now, and then I'll be able to do that for the rest of my life. And just not even at pageants. At school, I can just easily speak in front of a classroom, and while other people are scared of going up, I'll be the one to volunteer first, or volunteer to be like, I'll try to be the most outgoing in groups and interviews, like here, like speaking with mom, as I said before, and also for jobs or for college, for meeting new people, for anything where you need to talk to someone one-on-one. I think that pageants is a great thing. And also just in order to build your confidence, your self-esteem, anyone that's struggling. I was probably the most shy girl that you've ever met. I would walk into elementary school and preschool behind my mom, holding her leg and like crying, not wanting to go. But now, like, I'm definitely not the same girl that I was then. I've grown so much through the system, National American Miss. And if I could say like anything to anyone listening, if you have a little girl, any age, actually, any age, what does it go up to? Like 27?
23, yeah, 23 or 24.
Yeah, do the pageant just once and just experience what it is. Go to an open call. Those are so easy. Like, contact my mom or me on Instagram, and I'll send you all the info to go to an open call and just really learn what the pageant is like before judging other people, or it's just like an experience that I think everyone should really get and understand.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I could sell that to the world of the value that we've got out of it. Let's go to, I asked your sister, but I want to hear your answer. What your movies that you saw this summer, and like, well, let's go to Barbie and then we'll talk about Sound of Freedom. But let's first talk about Barbie. Tell me your takeaways on Barbie.
Well, I was pretty much laughing the whole time because some of the stuff in the movie was funny, but my mom and my sister saw it like 3 times. I only saw it once. So I don't really know what my takeaway was, but basically, um, oh, like, women can do anything that you want. And we don't need like men to do anything for us. You can do anything that you set your mind to. I can say that a million times, and you can be, do, or have anything that you want. Um, I feel like it was a good movie for people like teenagers and setting their goals and their dreams for themselves, because Barbie can do anything. Like, I've grown up with the doll and just the movies. Barbie has done every single job. Barbie can do anything. Barbie can do everything at once. And it's just like a good example for girls and teens in any age, that like no dream is ever too big and to ever stop dreaming. And then the other movie that we saw,
Sound of Freedom.
Freedom, it was definitely like an eye-opening experience to watch. Like, my mom was crying and I was almost crying, but just to see in the beginning, it kind of hit close to home because it was talking about modeling, and the dad dropped the kids off at this modeling thing, and they got kidnapped.
Mhm.
They got kidnapped, and it was scary to watch because like that definitely is like something that could happen to anyone, and you'd have to be aware. And I think that sometimes a lot of people get caught up in like start to become like ungrateful and not to and take stuff for granted. And but seeing like um that side of the different side of the world and where we are right now, and just opening your eyes to other parts of the world. And me and my mom and my sister and my dad, a few years ago, we went to build houses in Mexico for kids that were for a family that was homeless, and that was just an eye-opening experience as well, just seeing what different experiences like. And I think that the movie's a great thing, just like see the movie and then see what it's like, but it's really important to take those other experiences, like going down to Mexico and just like feeding the homeless. I think that it's important to see what like life is like with like the scary experiences, and really learn from other people. And I think that it's great that these movies, that the theaters are like producing, and these great shows that can impact people and open up their eyes to what this world is really coming to.
Yeah. So as we end our little time together, what are you most excited about your senior year?
Senior year is gonna be hopefully a lot easier than the rest because it's my last year and I'm taking a lot of fun classes. I want to commit before I want to commit during probably before national signing day. So that's in like that's in the fall. So I want to commit early. I'm probably the most excited thing for me is committing, but like outside of college life and rowing life, for school wise, I'm probably most excited to have fun with my best friend, Charlie, and also meet new friends. Um, I think that senior year, like finding a good there's a fly, finding a good friend group, and also really like soaking up the last few bits that you can in high school before it all becomes real and you have to go to college and live on your own for a few years and then live on your own for real for the rest of your life.
It's all coming real. Anyway, thank you, honey. And any words of wisdom from a 17-year-old?
It doesn't matter what people think, live your best life and do what makes you happy, because at the end of the day, nothing matters besides nothing else what people say matters besides what you think and say about yourself.
Amen, sister. Thank you.